Tensions in the Taiwan Strait are at an all-time high after visits of high-level U.S. officials to Taiwan's free and democratic country. The Chinese Communist Party is incensed and has responded with provocative military flights, threats, and live-fire military drills in coastal areas facing Taiwan, including the East China Sea, the Taiwan Strait, and the South China Sea. Some military strategy experts have suggested that the Chinese Communist Party (CCP) may take advantage of the U.S. presidential election and a power gap during succession to mount a military offense against Taiwan. The U.S. Indo-Pacific Command announced it would be holding joint military exercises involving at least 46,000 troops with the JSDF and Royal Canadian Navy, including amphibious landings on several Japanese islands beginning October 26. Seth Cropsey, a former naval officer and now a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute, wrote in The Hill, September 17, "There may never be a better moment for China to strike than the week of November 3rd. Cropsey's analysis is based on the premise that the upcoming U.S. presidential election will result in a succession crisis based on America's partisan enmity. Cropsey wrote that since the pandemic spread worldwide in April, the People's Liberation Army (PLA) has sent warplanes to encroach on Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone (ADIZ), dispatched its aircraft carrier battle group through the Miyako Strait, and conducted large-scale exercises near the Taiwan Strait. Cropsey warns these are not just a complex form of political signaling, but rather are preparations for an attack on Taiwan, with the goal being to subjugate it before the U.S. and its allies can respond. The idea of a succession crisis is being widely disseminated by Western media agencies and even by conservative pundits like Cropsey, who served as Deputy Undersecretary of the Navy under Reagan and George H.W. Bush administrations. By contrast, China's CCP government faces no such threats. There are no fears of a succession crisis in a nation that doesn't have popular elections, and no partisan enmity in a nation where any potential partisans are locked up in re-education camps, prisons, or merely exterminated. In light of the above information, it comes as small comfort to those who live in Taiwan to learn that 9,000 U.S. troops will join 37,000 of their Japanese counterparts in a joint field training exercise around Kagoshima, Japan, 26 and November 5. Canada will also send a ship. Operation Keen Sword is the latest in a series of joint training exercises designed to increase combat readiness and interoperability of Japanese and U.S. forces, the U.S. Navy said.
And why does it matter? Because Beijing has claims the South China Sea is his, but its claims overlap with those of several other nations, and including it has been criticized several other nations for building military facilities on disputed islands. And until recently has frequently objected to United States Navy exercises and operations in the South China Sea, and then to claiming that Washington has carried out navigational hegemony, and also has driven militarization of the waterway by sending warships into the region. And next, Washington has accused China of reckless and provocative militarization of outposts in the sea, and also including engaging in a campaign of bullying against smaller regional powers in the areas. And now, what is the United States doing in the South China Sea? Now, the deployment of the USS Ronald Reagan in the region, aiming to support of a free and open Indo-Pacific, followed two previous such operations this year. The first operation was performed on July. The U.S. conducted air defense exercises in the South China Sea that involved by two carrier groups, led by the USS Ronald Reagan and the USS Nimitz at the time, and the operation coinciding with Chinese military exercises in the waters. And the second operation in August, that involving the USS Ronald Reagan, conducted flight operations and also high-end maritime stability operations there. And next, by reinterpreting an international arms control agreement called the Missile Technology Control Regime, or called MTCR. And for land-based Harpoon anti-ship missiles, made by Boeing, that aiming to serve as coastal defense cruise missiles. And this is Tuesday's other congressional pre-notification. And next. One of the sources said, the approximately 100 cruise missiles that were notified to Capitol Hill would have a cost of about $2 billion. Taiwan has 5 weapon systems that are moving through the process, that recognized by Taiwan government sources. Weapon sales under an informal review process, before the State Department sends its formal notification to the legislative branch, the United States Senate Foreign Relations, and also including House of Representatives Foreign Affairs committees have the right to review, and also block. Said the sources, who are familiar with the situation but declined to be identified. Leaders of the committees were notified that the planned weapon sales had been approved by the American State Department, which oversees foreign military sales, said the sources. And on Monday, Reuters reported that informal notifications had already been sent to Congress, aiming for a truck rocket launcher, known as a high-mobility artillery rocket system, and also including long-range air-to-ground missiles called SLAM-ER, and external sensor pods mounted on F-16 jets, and this allow the real-time transmission of imagery and data from the aircraft back to ground stations. Now, ex-Pentagon official provides support and relief, and suggests leasing F-35 stealth jets to Taiwan to ward off an invasion from Beijing. A retired Pentagon official said on October 8, in the face of aggressive incursions by China's Air Force in the territory, the United States should help Taiwan by leasing an F-35 stealth jets. Stephen Bryan, former Deputy Undersecretary of Defense, said that Taiwanese pilots' supposed lack of ability to fly the sophisticated F-35 fighters could be helped by training them in the United States, Stephen Bryan said. Any fears of China's reaction could lead to the aircraft being kept on standby in the United States, though they would either belong to Taiwan or be leased by the island. Stephen Bryan also said, by the end of 2020, looking at its current fleet of jets, 50 of its 140 F-16 jets would be upgraded, but it still would have to wait at least for the delivery of 66 new F-16V versions to the territory. The lease of stealth the US F-35 fighters would also make more financial sense than the purchase of new jets or the upgrading of all old ones, he said. And now, in the event of a conflict in the areas, Taiwan's airports would be the first target for a Chinese attack. The United States F-35 favoring the world's first supersonic short takeoff, and also vertical landing stealth jet in the region. Bryan said, as it is the US F-35 perfect for Taiwan, and also has sufficient range for the island's protection in the region, given that some of them are already based in Japan. And vice versa. Advantages of not having the jets in Taiwan from the start are that Chinese spies will not have access to training and exercises in the territory, while a preemptive attack by China will not be possible. A few days before sending a high-level official to Taiwan, for the first time since Washington broke off diplomatic relations with the nation in 1979, is a positive step. And now what should Taiwan do? Taiwan needs a greater commitment by the United States recently. And a key element of the commitment could be to reproduce and expand make the F-35 stealth fighter available to Taiwan. With the secretary explaining, until the early 1990s, the People's Liberation Army was very much a brown water, coastal defense fleet, never seen. However, all of that has now changed. The Chinese Communist Party, for whom the People's Liberation Army serves, intends to complete the modernization of its armed forces by 2035. And they also field a world-class military by 2049. Beijing. In addition to developing traditional weapon systems recently, Beijing is also investing in long-range, autonomous, and also including unmanned submarines, which it believes can be a cost-effective counter to American naval power.